Women get to make all the choices. If she would like to spend time with her baby after the baby has been born, she can do that for the entire time that she's in the hospital. And we would absolutely make sure that she has access to her newborn and to be able to spend time. Now, if a woman said, I don't know if I even want to see my baby at all, of course I would respect it. But I also am going to give some advice. And that advice is that spending time with your newborn, unwrapping him or her, and taking a look at them, talking to them, even though they can't necessarily comprehend the words that you're saying, but having that conversation about the why you're doing what you're doing, and the love that you have for them, that's important. It's important for both of you. And it's very important for the woman to know and understand that she is making this real for herself, that this is not just something that she is going to forget, because she won't. In order to get on the other side of grief and to go through that healing process, you have to make the situation real. And so spending that time, I think, is important, and that would be my recommendation. However, if a woman feels differently about that, I don't require it. I just simply am going to give you my point of view from the experiences that I've had in helping many women. Another choice women would have if placing for adoption would be, should I name the baby? And for some, it's important, and they think of that baby always as whatever name they have. And they give the permission to the adoptive parents to change that name later on, but they think of that baby as whatever name, that's how they think of them in their heart. They absolutely have the right to do that, and they can. It's very easily done. We'll help them fill out the birth certificate form and help them answer all the questions correctly. And then at some point down the road, a couple of things could happen. One, the adoptive parents would have the right at the finalization of adoption to change the name of the child. And most certainly they're going to change the last name of the child. So if you've named, if the woman has named the child with her last name, the last name of the child will likely change to the name of the adoptive parents. Now, sometimes they might also want to choose to change the first and middle name, and they would have the right to do so. But this is something that we discuss during the time that we're making a match with the family is how do they feel about naming? Maybe the birth mom really just specifically wants that child to stay named the same thing that she named them at birth, and that she wants them to do so. And if they've agreed to do so, then we certainly mean for them to keep their promises. But woman has every right to name that child, and that may be permanent, or it may be something that is changed a little bit down the road. Sometimes the adoptive family and the birth parents come to an agreement on what the child is going to be named. From the very beginning, they make a choice together, and that's how the child is named. So there's lots of options there. Birth mothers who are placing their child for adoption do not need to go to court when working with this agency. So a representative for you, which is an attorney, will go to court in your stead. And so they're there to represent you, and there's no reason for you to have to go to court. If you choose to, we certainly won't keep you away from doing so, but there's absolutely not a reason that you would have to do that. The legal rights that you have to your child when the child is born are full legal parental rights. And then you can decide from there what's going to happen. So if you choose that you're going to go through with an adoption for your child, at the time that you sign your release of custody, you have 96 hours in order to revoke that release of custody. If you do not revoke the release, it will become next to impossible for you to undo that situation. And it's that point of time where your parental rights are been terminated by the court during that process. If there are health issues when your child is born, you are still at the hospital setting, and before anything is signed, you are still the parent, even though you've made decisions that maybe an adoptive family is going to be involved. So absolutely all the decision making there in the hospital for the child is going to be your decision. Now, you can certainly say to the nurses and doctors, I defer to the adoptive parents to decide about circumcision or a vitamin K or whatever the medical situation is. But it certainly is your right to have every involvement. Once you release custody to the agency, even on a temporary basis, they're at the hospital. There is on the form itself, it simply says, do you want to be notified if there is a medical concern for your child? And so during that temporary process, you can either choose yes or no. And if you want to be notified, then most certainly the agency will make sure that you are aware of any sort of circumstance that might have come up for the child and that you can have participation there. Unborn children who have health issues that are pre-diagnosed will be something that we talk to the adoptive family options about to make sure that they feel that they're well equipped to be able to deal with whatever that circumstance is. And we will only be giving options for the birth mother to choose adoptive parents from those who have agreed and understand that there is a medical condition, or perhaps the child's been exposed to drugs or alcohol, and so we don't know exactly what to expect. So those adoptive parents are going to be, one, aware for any of the medical situations that we know of, and two, prepared. Medical concerns that would come up for a child after an adoption has been finalized. From then, notification to a birth parent is really going to be based on their relationship. And so whatever situation they've already arranged, whether it's closed, whether it's open, or it's somewhere in between, notification is going to happen based upon that relationship. And so most certainly if there were something, fairly catastrophic, I'm quite certain, especially in an open or a semi-open relationship, information is going to flow, whether it's through the agency or if it's a direct communication. So for some women, seeing the adoptive family in the hospital setting when the baby's being born is a comfort. And maybe they've invited them to be a part of labor and delivery, especially if they've gotten a trusted relationship that they've been able to get to know each other during the pregnancy. But for others, it feels like a more private time, and they have their own sense of who's going to be there to comfort me through labor and delivery, whether that be someone from the agency or it be someone of their own choosing, a parent or a partner. And then it feels a little more intrusive to have the adoptive family there. So the job of the agency is to be present, not necessarily in the labor and delivery room, but present at the hospital to help sort of navigate when is it time for the adoptive family to be present and available, taking care of the infant, or at least having some time with the birth mom and being able to visit. And then also just being able to separate them when it's time for the birth mother to have time with her child alone, uninterrupted, opportunities to talk to the agency, especially if she feels like she's having a change of heart. There's a careful balance at the hospital, and having agency presence there becomes pretty critical, so that we make sure that we're doing exactly what the birth mother wants to have done and that we're giving her lots of time and space. It certainly would be possible that an adoptive family wait until a birth mom has left and exited the hospital to then come and to, with the agency, then be presented with the infant. So having that connection, the birth mother and the adoptive family connection at the hospital is not a requirement. We certainly can do that, and for some that's the right choice, and for others it's not right, and they prefer to be very private. And we can certainly accommodate that by having the agency there on site to take temporary custody of the newborn. The birth mother can exit the hospital without having to meet the adoptive family. Here at Many Hearts, we're all about love, and I'm inviting you to reach out to us today and let us help you.